Welcome back to DLS Way. We are back to continue the topic in episode 3. So, Mr. L, from the previous topic, we were talking about the differences between the Ghanaian education and the Chinese education.
Yeah.
And we did not really delve deep, although we had some few things to say.
Yeah.
Without wasting much time, what are the missing link between the two system of education?
Well, I think, in my personal opinion, I think it has to do with the the structure of the curriculum, whereas ours is more theoretical, theory based, basically reading from books, reading theories from books. We don't really have the chance to see the practical aspects of what we're reading. So, and it cuts across all levels and all subjects, because if you look at even our medical doctors, right? I've never been to medical school, but from what I've heard, there's a lot more theory. There's practicals, but I mean, there's definitely a big difference between someone who is studying in China and someone who is studying in Ghana, because we all went to school in Ghana. And if you compare what you see here in the schools, how well equipped the schools are to what we went through, then you can see clearly that they learn the theory and the practical, but we learn the theory and we like the practicals because we don't have all the necessary equipment. So when you graduate from school, you end up knowing a lot of theory, but really practicing or applying what you've learned becomes a problem. It's like you get into an environment where, excuse me, you need to use your skills and you have to start learning all over again because you don't know how to use basic equipment. Talk about mechanics and all that. Whereas here, right from school, you know the theory, you know the practical. So when you get on the job, you hit the ground running. So I think that's the biggest difference I see.
Yeah, to add to that, I think practically comes back to what I said in the old episode. As in, it's about upgrading and updating your software, right? Basically, because the world is moving so fast that things we used to do 10, 20 years ago, you cannot apply them right now. Because now, if you look at the top elites, I mean, pick your Elon Musk, pick whoever you want to pick, right? They all say the same thing. They will choose skill over what PhDs and degrees and bachelors and everything. So it's like the world is moving towards, a space that your education really means nothing. Honestly, if you have like a PhD and you cannot really perform on the job, right? I mean, who is gonna hire you, right? Because like things are moving so fast. Companies want to make profit, right? And they want products updated. They want new models next year, next 6 months. So they need people with the skill set, with the creativity, with the mindset to pretty much advance their companies. They don't want to come saying, "Oh, I'm a PhD holder." Okay, so. Right.
And secondly, like you said, the practical side is not really there from our side. So yes, you can be a PhD holder, but on theory, it's on book. It's in the books.
Yeah.
It's all on the paper. But when you are taken to the field, it's a different ball game.
Right.
And that is what, from our side
Yeah.
of our education, we lack because the structure is not there. But the question is, why don't we have the structure?
It's because we're slow to change, or we're just too stubborn to change, or it takes us too long to accept the fact that things are changing and we have to change with it. Because if you look at our mechanics back home, the so-called fitters, right, they're still doing the same thing they used to do. There are places we go.
Listen, hold on a second. It is not like we keep mentioning fitters and mechanics and whatever, but actually it cuts across.
It does.
If you look at the contractors, like those who construct roads in Ghana. Yes, they are foreign investors that comes in, but for me, I think it has to do with leadership, and then it boils down to now the what we've learned in school.
Right.
So we implement those things, and we are still using what I call the manual system still. You understand? That is in the 1640s.
Yeah.
That is what we're still doing.
Yeah.
And even credit to even the 16th or 15th century or whatever year. If you look at the things they built,
Yeah.
roads, tunnels and stuff. What we are doing now in this current modern age with the education we claim we have, especially in Ghana, it's appalling.
Right.
It is. This is what I keep saying, because if you look at the structure now, I mean, here, right, we've all taught in schools, and now they have a new thing called PBL, which is what? Project-based learning.
Yeah.
You are learning in real time, in the real world. It's not just sitting in classroom copying notes and listening to the teacher. You are given an assignment as an individual or in groups or teams, right? To go find solutions to real life problems. Find out how to make this robot flip backwards, right? Find data that will make this thing spin. So kids or students or individuals go, or they come in groups, they figure out how to make these things work. So this is where the world is going now. PBL, project-based learning. You don't really sit and be like, right.
Yeah.
My question is it that we don't have the infrastructure?
Yeah, I mean, basically we don't have the infrastructure, because even till now, when we are building or constructing schools, we don't put that into consideration. We're still building 6 classroom blocks. You know those L-shaped blocks?
Yeah.
3 primary 1 to 6. At best, you have 12 rooms where you have let's say primary 1, class A, class B, primary 2. So. And in poorer communities, it's just 1 class per stage. So primary 1 to 6, three rooms here, 3 rooms there. There's no lab, there's no gymnasium, there's no provision made for library, there's nothing. So just by the way we are constructing our schools, it just tells the idea that we're not ready to advance. Because if you build just classrooms and you don't build other rooms for other project-based activities, then we're stuck.
But this is why people overseas, they go back to Ghana or they go back to their home countries and they see all these developments and they don't really kind of appreciate it, because out in the Western world or in China, it's very basic, right? Because if you have like a gym, you have like a lab and all those things, they're not really, it's very, very basic here. But this is one of the reasons why Ashesi University is really doing it big time, because they have incorporated all these things.
Exactly.
So people love it. It's making the kids smarter. People are kind of coming out with like, big ideas, creativity, critical thinking to solve real life problems. Now you can't take that, parallel with just like the way we construct our housing. There are no recreational areas. There are no places that kids can go and slides, merry-go-rounds, and have fun. We just put up the blocks just to sell.
That's it.
And there is no recreation, and kids learn by having fun.
Yeah.
So if we do not incorporate all these things from the grassroots, right? Kids cannot come out and be like huge playground in the middle of their complex, socialize with other kids, integrate. All these things are learning processes that we don't have anymore.
Yeah, that's a nice direction, but I think I would want us to choose that as another discussion topic, because there are a lot of things I want to talk about, even on real estate. And all that still comes down to the education.
So I was about to say, with what I'm taking from what you guys, or what we are all saying, is that in the name of education, we are actually giving junk in, junk out. Because what we've learned in school, the archaic way of doing things
is the same way.
It's the same way we come out of school and we think in our daily lives. That is why we are where we are as a country.
And also, if you look at professionals, it's not news that you hear many Africans go to advanced countries and they excel. Engineers, medical doctors, because don't get us wrong, we know the theory. We learn just like any other person in the world. The problem is, the missing link we're talking about is the practical aspect. So you know the theory, and when you go to an environment where you have the equipment, you just excel.
The environment.
Whereas in other places, they will focus more. Like here, I realize that when you go to the hospital, the doctor doesn't spend too much time with you. They just recommend many tests because the equipment are readily available. You do like 50 tests and then they'll know what's wrong with you.
That is so true. I've never had so many tests in my life.
Sometimes I'm tempted to think that our doctors, let's choose doctors as a case.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm tempted to think that doctors are smarter when it comes to books.
Yeah.
But when it comes to really diagnosing, because the doctor, no matter how smart you are, you can't go into somebody's body with your brain. You need an equipment to do that.
Yeah.
And the results is what you read.
Yeah.
Although they can read the reports, they don't have the necessary equipment to do all the tests. So sometimes they will misdiagnose, not because he doesn't know, but because, like we are saying, the equipment they need to learn are not available.
Yeah.
So the problem all comes back, for me, the missing link is mainly the fact that we don't have the real hardware to complement the theory when we are learning.
It goes back to what he said about re-updating your system.
Right.
You know, because, for example, when Apple or whichever phone you are using, look at the time they started. They were using 1 GB. And before it went to
500 megabytes, 1 GB.
And now so many apps cannot perform on those phones, right? Or they're gonna be super slow.
And your now a phone has about five even some phones. I know Oppo phone had 1 terabyte memory space, you know. And if you look at where they started from and where they are, it means that if you update your system every now and then, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, you develop as a country.
Right.
You understand?
Yeah, but it goes back to our previous conversation about copying, right? I don't think you need to really start from the basics from scratch. People have already done it. Countries have done it. You can look at it. You can, through diplomatic ties and pretty much emulate what they did or their success stories or failures, right?
Right.
And incorporate it, and then just instead of like walking, you can actually leap.
I totally agree with you, and that is why China comes across like a threat to most countries because they leapfrog everyone.
Yeah.
Just by having that tag of copying,
Right.
which to some extent is true. But now they okay, I copied you, but I'm doing it better than you.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I feel like I feel like it was all planned. I don't feel like it was an accident. I didn't think they were copied by accident. I think it was all planned.
Yeah.
We will learn, we'll copy what they have, and then we'll make it actually better. Because it's the same thing all these companies do.
Nobody succeeds in life without a good plan.
Yeah, of course.
You understand? So the country had a plan.
Yeah.
And I always say this: if you starve, as in not getting food to eat before, and you don't learn from it, then you
won't learn from anything else.
Then you die as a pauper.
Right.
You understand? And that is what with them our education system. This is how best we can go and catch up to, and then even overtake those people ahead of us.
Yeah.
But we have to do it our way.
Right.
But then update the system, like you're saying. Look at what these people are doing, and let me copy a little bit, and then update it.
Yeah.
And that is why today we are sitting here, and we are not saying 90% or 100% of our education is bad.
Right.
They have flaws in their education system. We have a lot of flaws in our education system because it is affecting our day-to-day life.
Right.
But honestly, to be honest, they got flaws, but it's almost like they always trying to make it better. They're always revising it, reviewing, because you can almost every semester, right? There are new policies coming out. Kids are gonna go back to school. It's as a parent, you're actually waiting to see what the new rules that are coming out are gonna be, right? So it's all constantly changing, but that is what we don't do back home.
Right.
You know, and honestly, okay, you can go.
No, if you're done with your point, I just wanted to say that if you look at even we're talking about the lack of equipment or facilities in our schools back in Ghana or in Africa. In China, they have the facilities, so you realize that they don't really have what they call what we call practicals or practicum, where during your studies or after school, you go and find a company to work with as part of your mark. Exactly, like an internship. Whereas we have the internship. So even if we don't have the right facilities in school to complement the theory, we should be able to use the power of the practicals to solve the same problem. Because if the schools don't have the facilities, we are asking the students to go for practicals because we believe that in the companies where they're going to work, they can have hands-on a feel of the facilities.
But the companies are not there like it is here.
Right, but that's actually, I think that would be the main motive for asking students to go for practicals.
Yeah.
So you go and have hands-on.
Yeah.
So if the schools don't have, then we should we can even make a policy change and say, this national service that we've been doing, you have someone do like biological sciences, and then you send the person to Ministry of Tourism to go and do his national service for 1 full year at the Ministry of Tourism.
Yeah.
Then you have a tourism student, you send him to a village to teach geography.
Yeah.
So there is a mismatch everywhere. So even if we say we're going to use national service, which we can do, rather than just posting people haphazardly, we can say that, okay, we don't have enough facilities, but for what you study, we're going to put you in a place where you can have hands-on, so that you can complement the theory with the practical. But at the end of the day, what are we even doing with that one? We're putting people in the wrong places. So someone did journalism, and you give him, you post him to go to the Minister of Finance. I mean, yes, he'll work with financial issues in the future as a journalist, but he should go to a journalist school, or he should go to a media house or something, so that by the time he comes back and finishes his program, the person already has some practical knowledge. When he is more employable.
Yeah, but I think it's like I always say, it's from the grassroots, because as a country, as a nation, I feel like we pretty much put like academics on a pedestal.
Valorize,
Yeah, because if you think about it, if you complete school, let's say you're graduating in Ghana, right? You come out of school. How many factories are there for you to go work in or to apply to work for, right? So at the end of the day, the blue collar jobs are way more than the skill set jobs. Because if you look at the country, like how many mechanical companies are there, like Mechanical Lloyd, Toyota Ghana? I mean, how many people can these people employ, right?
Yeah.
So if you pick a place like China, right, there are so many factories, so many bases that you can go and work for.
Yeah.
So it almost looks like, because of the structure of the system, it's almost not necessary to even obtain the skill. Because if you have the skill, where are you really going to practice it?
Right.
If you come out as a doctor, right? I mean, how many hospitals will really absorb you and say, we're going to train you as a junior doctor, right? Not too many, right? Not too many mechanical, not too many production, not too many factories. So it's like, if you acquire even the skill, where are you going to work?
And also, that also brings us to our style of development. Everything is centered in big cities. Accra, Kumasi, I don't see any, maybe Takrady. That's it.
But that's what I'm saying.
And we have 16 regions. So if I'm a medical doctor and maybe I was born and raised in a big city like Accra or Kumasi, I don't want suddenly in my professional life to be sent to somewhere district, because I'm not used to that lifestyle, and I want to have a good life in a city because I'm a city boy. But here, almost everywhere in China is the same now. It doesn't matter, first tier, second tier city, you find the same facility. So it's funny, sometimes you're working with someone here and you don't see the person. Suddenly the person doesn't come. Where is he or where is she? Oh, went back to his hometown. Because he's not afraid to move. Whatever he has in Shanghai, he has in Taiyuan, he has in Suzhou, he has in Wuhan. It's the exact same thing.
Yeah, but you see, this is what I was talking about, the setup. Now, it's like if you say, okay, a mechanic here in the States, in Europe, it's a really what? I wouldn't say luxurious or like lofty, but it's very respectable. But the reason why we look down on it in Ghana or in Africa per se is that rarely would you get a chance to work with a big company.
Unless you know somebody who
right,
somebody.
exactly. So why would somebody be proud to say, I want to be a mechanic, or I want to be, pick any craft, like even carpenters will make fun of it. Right? But out here,
make mockery of it.
Of course, because think about here, they're the guys who put pretty much, that's the fundamental of the building. It's like that you cannot put down one foundation without these guys.
So what you just said has brought up this other question I wanted to ask you guys. why less access to extra activities in school, like where you can harness your certain skills, like you like swimming,
Right.
you were born in Accra,
Mm-hmm.
the sea is there, they can teach you swimming from
Yeah.
the sea. You don't have. Why is it that when you look at the Chinese system here, their schooling structure, you see that they try to harness kids' skills.
Right.
Why is it that ours we don't have it? Why?
I think one, we don't dream big. We dream too small. Two, lack of competition due to the same thing, due to the system, right? Because if I want my kid to go study or learn swimming, if they get to learn, that's it. It's for the fun of it. I mean, here there's like inter-schools competition, and then it gets all the way to the national level until people get picked out for Olympics on the world stage and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But think about it in Ghana or in Africa. It's like, do you know what I mean? It's like you learn it. Okay, you're done. It's like 3 weeks, 7 months. Okay, you're done. Where do you go from there, right?
Right.
The system is not designed in a way that there is ascension.
Right.
It's like you learn it, you're done.
Right.
There has to be competition. There has to be things that, it's like there is like a ladder, right? Pretty much like a ladder to climb up.
Right.
My target is to do inter-schools. After inter-schools, what? I go to like inter-cities. After inter-cities, maybe like what? National level, right? So if you don't have all these structures in place. Secondly, also like I'm talking about dreams, right? A lot of people and kids, it comes back to the mindset. They're not even dreaming that big of making it to the Olympics, swimming Olympics or music or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Because you look around you and you pretty much see nothing. I go to school, I come back home, I play with my friends, I go to sleep. The exposure is not there that you can get to the Olympics.
Right.
You don't see the dream because, like I said, the system is not designed in a way that you see the dream. How many Olympians do you see? I mean, not like winners, but people who've actually attained that height of going to the Olympics. Or of being at like a big music stage,
Yeah.
It's something that comes with the system. If you don't have a system that has kind of like nourished the mindset of the people to believe that it's attainable, this is what China did. You meet kids here, they're gonna say, I want to be a doctor, engineer, I want to be like my dad. I have kids that I want to be like a movie director like my dad, right? They have things and people to look up to.
Yeah.
They want to be teachers.
If I see my dad, I see my dad working in a bank, Standard Chartered for 10 years, I want to be like my dad.
Yeah.
But think about it, how many Standard Chartered banks are in Ghana?
Right.
And you're gonna have 10,000 people applying for that same position.
Right. Yeah, I think, and also to add to that, we can also talk about government policy, because here you see government brings out policies that enables
And
the
encourages.
private sector
Yeah.
to thrive.
Yeah, to take
Because
advantage of
and
it.
that's one mistake we make in Ghana or in Africa, that everything must come from the government, and it's the same government that makes us believe that way.
Yeah.
One major responsibility of a government, which I believe, which I think is a fact, is to create the enabling environment for the private sector to play a role.
To thrive, yeah.
But we are not able to create this enabling environment. So there are private people who have the ideas, but they don't have the go ahead, if I should use that, from government,
From the
because
system,
there's no
yeah.
policy
From the system.
assisting them. You can't do everything alone. Private people can open up like educational institutions, after school institutions, and help the government to train these people. But there are no policies.
Yeah, policies and also incentives, right?
Exactly.
Right?
So what informed this question? The reason is that we are teachers. We've been teachers here, yeah. And before COVID, like you have thousands of schools,
Yeah.
teaching, educating people
Right.
who really want to be extremely good in English.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's the government who give
Right.
the room,
Right.
right? And a lot of people turn into billionaires just by owning a school.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, the government saw people were taking advantage of some of the
It
loopholes.
was getting out of hand.
Yes, so they climb it down and then but to your point, that is why the point you made. That is why I'm saying that it starts from the top.
Yeah.
Right.
You understand? It
Yeah.
starts from the top. Anyway, I want us to keep moving forward. When you were in school,
Right.
which skill you schooled in Ghana? So which skill would you have loved to harness or improve on?
So you're talking about a skill that is not academic, right?
Academic, and you wish your school. You see, because most schools here, let's say where my daughter schools, they have teachers from other
Like
places.
extracurricular.
Yes,
activity,
extracurricular.
Yeah.
Yes, and they come and teach drumming, dancing, taekwondo, this and table tennis and all that
Right.
in the school. Although the school too have it, but extra. So when you were in school, did you have it, and did you wish you had it?
I think for me it was mostly sports. Up to a certain stage, I didn't like learning at all. My grades used to be really poor until at a point I switched. But I would say not football, but I think I was more interested in volleyball and basketball. So for me, growing up, if you had asked me during my school days what I would have wanted to become, most likely a volleyball player or a basketball player. But when you say that, it will sound funny to someone. Why do you want to be a volleyball player? But if we have a good structure and we go to international competitions, volleyball could be my life career. You'll be traveling around the world with your team, playing matches all over the world, and that is what you've chosen.
I mean, that goes without saying. I mean, you see all these sports athletes, LeBron,
exactly.
And it's not because of some PhD.
They even having better life than
Yeah,
you
of
as a
course.
PhD.
Like
Of course.
when I was practically like you. I was a true man. Let me put it
Right.
that way, because I wanted to do other stuff. I just wanted to go do the thing beyond the norm, you know.
Yeah.
And that is what we all cram in one place. You have to go to school, be this and be that. I wanted to be a sports something, you know, either a football coach, a sports analyst, whatever.
Yeah.
But the rooms were not there.
Exactly.
You know?
You were even afraid to even tell
someone
that
that
you want to be
It's exactly the same
sports
thing. I was
journalist. What are you
really good
talking
at
about?
football, table tennis, the same thing. But
Yeah.
as usual, you know, parents are gonna be like, "Yeah, you gotta go to
Go
school."
Yeah.
Computer scientist or be like a mechanical engineer. But again, that's what I keep saying, right? It's like an inheritance. You know, it's like the mindset is not that developed to a point that you can really understand that this thing can be monetized.
Yeah.
It can be a profession.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Because what they did is what they want to see you do.
You're right.
Oh, I work for this foreign company.
And that's,
blah, blah,
that's
blah,
probably
blah.
the reason we are lacking a lot of skilled people.
Yeah.
Because everybody's moving to one direction,
Yeah.
whilst we lack so many. There are some professions we think are not essential or necessary. It is only after you grow up you understand. Okay, we need people in every.
Yeah, let me give you an example. Let me give you an example. An example. Because listen. Because
this one is simple.
Nah, go.
You see, watchman.
Right.
You know, it's a whole business.
Yeah.
It's a whole.
It's a profession.
Profession.
It is.
That's
It's
the
a
word.
profession,
It's
yeah.
a profession here, right?
Yep.
Here and other countries,
Right.
and some of our brothers, some of our sisters, are doing that kind of job
You're right.
outside with their PhDs.
Exactly.
You understand?
Right.
Anyway, you could say yours. I don't.
No, that was
want to
it. No. It's pretty like you said, right? Skills. But I can literally tell you for a fact. I feel like almost every Chinese kid can probably play 2, 3, 4 musical instruments.
Yeah.
Or they
Play
try
2,
it.
3, 4 sports.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's incorporated at a very early age. Now, I think in primary school they have this system of picking something called 2 balls.
Right.
I think either they call it big ball, small ball.
Yeah.
Either you choose basketball and table tennis, volleyball, and I'm not sure. I think lawn tennis.
Badminton.
Yeah, or football and I think badminton. Like one. So you have to choose one of those. It's like 3 sets.
Yeah.
And these are core, these are compulsory. These are not electives that we
That's
say, I choose to do it or not.
Right.
Yeah.
So even if you're not good at it, you will have some sort of experience, right? And you're not just learning football or volleyball, right?
Right.
You're learning discipline, you're learning teamwork, you're learning how to control your emotions, right? So these things all become like,
Mold
a
you.
well-rounded thing to mold you
Right.
for the future, right?
Right.
But that's what I'm saying. We do not see these things like, we did not project it ahead on how
Right.
it's gonna mold you. It's just, you want to play soccer, like what are you gonna bring up from soccer, right? Go be a computer engineer.
And that brings us back to what I was talking about, facilities. So they build a school And you go to a primary school in China, you see their footballs, not a pitch, a stadium, and it's better than Accra Sports Stadium. Just any primary school. Because it's part of the design.
Vision, that's what I'm saying, good visionary leaders.
So when a school is designing a curriculum to include sports, they don't even, it's not something to even think about because every school has it. You have the facilities. And all you gotta do is buy balls or whatever.
But this is what I was talking about real estate, the same thing. Here you would not get approved if there is no recreational area for kids to play.
Exactly.
No, but in Ghana you go to the East Legon Hills whatever, and they are like buildings and villas and semi-detached whatever, and there are no recreational areas for kids or family.
No space. No space at all.
Just behind here there is a basketball court. Just right here. In the corner.
Because as a people, it's like I'm saying, it's part of society, right? Staying healthy, learning through fun, socializing,
air,
exactly.
Things,
so there are a lot of things that I feel like it's not necessarily like education related, but you're also learning without even consciously know you're learning, right? But like I said, back in Ghana, whatever, we need to kind of like structure every single thing. It's like go to school. After school, you have like extra classes during summer. You learn and you have like what do you call those? I forgot. You resolve what is past questions. Remember those? Questions, So you have like classes for the teacher will put students together, right? But these are all true and you go, you learn and you pass your test. But after you pass the test,
what else?
What else?
I mean, if I look at us here compared to all the foreigners we meet and even the Chinese, I don't think anyone is more intelligent than the other.
Of course not.
I think it's just how you get trained. That's what shows the difference. Because sometimes you even think that you are more intelligent than some people from other places.
Every single expert you meet here, they will tell, I had like a Ghanaian like classmate, and they were like shocked. They always say that. They were like, I had like a Ghanaian like desk mate, and they always say like the Ghanaians are like, they were so on time. And I think one is also because we always kind of like look back from where we came from, and it's like usually like family, friends, they put money together, say farewell to you go overseas, so you put in your best. You don't want to disappoint, home and stuff like that, which is great. But the funny thing is, you finish, you gain that knowledge, you go back home, and there's still very, very little to no opportunity for you to practice what you came to learn. Right?
Well, we need to wrap up with this topic because I think there is more, but we will leave it to you guys to
leave your opinions in the comment section.
Just leave your opinions, and then sometimes we would come back and read some of your comments. So before we leave and wrap up and close the show, I want your last take, your last opinion, on this educational stuff between Ghana, China, and Africa in general.
I think, like I said before in the beginning, we just have to revisit certain principles and accept the fact that without soft skills, without technical and vocational training, I mean, look at even the service we get in hotels. You might not like the person, the waitress might not like the customer, but you have to smile. It should be part of your job. But what happens? People's emotions take over, like their job responsibility. So I think training people to have these soft skills is what develops a country. From what I have seen around, without people who have the hand skills, you can't develop a country. You can have all the money, but who is to build the roads? Who is to build the houses professionally? Who is to make... You can give a job to a carpenter to make a table for you. A week later, you go and the table is still not done. Why? Because he's still using a hand saw. And even after he's done, you run your hand on the top of the table and you have twigs in your hands. Because when he was learning, he didn't have any equipment to learn with. So even if someone buys it for him, he doesn't know how to use it. So I think that right from our schools and all, it should be a national policy where every training institution, whether public or private, should have the right facilities so that when people come out, they are properly trained professionals. Then when they charge a premium, people don't complain because you're getting a premium service. So I think for me, technical and vocational education should get a lot of emphasis because that's what develops a country.
Yeah, I mean, on a finishing note or wrapping up note, I don't know if it's the leaders and politicians just trying to keep the people down so they can give them hope little by little so they can vote for them. because I think our system doesn't help in terms of the mindset that we're in as a youth. Because like I had a friend back home, right, in Ghana, he said the same thing. Oh, he wanted this 56-inch TV and subwoofer, and I'm like, yo, you have a small enterprise, right? You do this Italian sliding doors and everything. And he used screwdrivers and all these like, very manual, difficult way of doing. I'm like, why don't you use the money you want to buy this LED screens and everything?
To buy power tools.
To buy power tools, right? And like, high tech. I mean, I'm not saying high tech as in very big stuff,
but
like electric, advanced stuff. That would actually, if you take 1 month to finish a project, it's gonna cut it back probably like
2 weeks,
2 weeks or even a week, right? You would finish quicker, and that would add to your portfolio. People recommend you because what?
You work fast, and
you work fast, and your work is more efficient because you got like all these gear on and everything that makes it really professional. He didn't buy into it, right? So this is how we do it, and it's not really about that. It's just there's too much competition. I'm like, yeah, there's too much competition, but you're not doing anything to stand out.
Yeah,
you're doing this. So this is some of the things that I feel like we're not taught as kids growing up, how to think outside the box. There is this new school in Ghana. I mean, we're not paid to advertise or whatever, but I'll just give them a shout out. LEMP, LEMP Ghana.
Yeah,
I mean, they're doing exactly that. They're teaching kids like swimming, yoga, taekwondo, all these at a very early age.
Right.
And that's what I'm saying. People might just see that, oh, taekwondo, the kids are just, no, it's gonna work. Organize their thoughts, think outside the box, teamwork, discipline, endurance, things like under pressure, like doing things under controlling emotions. So it builds character, right? It makes you appreciate things, and it makes you know where to put your energy and time and money, as opposed to just wasting it on trendy stuff.
Exactly.
So I think we need a complete overhaul of our educational system, starting from kindergarten. I feel like primary school, high school, it's a bit too late.
Yeah, it's too late.
It's a bit too. We have like
there's actually research has been done that the best time for a kid to start learning anything is between 3 and 6.
Yeah, your formative years. Yeah, formative years between formative year probably 3, 8, 9.
You see, with everything, I totally agree with everything you guys have mentioned. But if you look at it with the Chinese system, all the things we are talking about, the swimming, the football field, there's this and this, it is all in their the schools you were mentioning is private.
Yeah, it is.
And we have some few private schools in Ghana that are doing what we're talking about.
Right.
We are talking about
on a larger scale.
Public scale. Exactly. And the public schools here, they have more than
even the private schools.
Forget about the private schools, because the private schools,
I mean, they have more than even private schools.
No, I agree with you. They have even more.
Yeah.
The public schools here, you have to come and see to believe what we are saying.
I think one day we have to take this show outside and let people see exactly what we're talking about.
Go to the schools, and those who are here, those who have seen it, they know what we are talking about. And that is what I think our leaders need to copy.
Right.
Yeah. Look at the public schools here. They have almost everything.
But that's the thing. Then you have no excuse to say, "Oh, I did not excel because we did not have this or that."
You can choose a part when you are in school. I'm not too good. I will play basketball.
Yeah. But the options are there, right? Yeah, the options are there. That's the thing.
Options are there.
Yeah, right. You can say, I'm not good at basketball, but you have a football option. You have a table tennis option. You have academics option.
I schooled in Garrison, and we had only one swing. I remember one swing.
2,000 students.
Yes, one swing or two. I think two. Yeah. One big one and one small one, and then we have at the back. It's just a field. Where all the classes will play football.
Anything happens,
and then those of us who are naughty would play with oranges. You finish eating, you put it in the sun and hit somebody's school uniform. Okay, we created our own fun, but the schools here, the public schools, they have basketball, football, they have table
pretty much every discipline.
Pretty much everything. Right. So break time, they have a lot to play with.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. You have options. You may not be good at it. You try this, you don't like it, you move on to this. Something is gonna click.
Every day you do something. You know.
Yep. Two things to say. It's like, I don't know, running a country I don't know how to run a country, but I think it's very much like business. Yeah. Either you create liabilities or you create assets.
Because all the things we are talking about, it can create employment for a whole lot of people.
Yeah.
Because you need somebody to create that football pitch. Yeah, whether AstroTurf or real grass, you need people to plant those grass to be used in all the public schools.
Yep.
The table tennis, you need people with technical know-how.
Yeah.
To do all those things.
Yeah.
So I think the government have a lot have a lot of policies to put in place that will help the general public with a few cash to invest in.
That's a good. That's what I said. Liabilities or assets, and both you have to invest in.
Right.
You invest in the youth, you invest in the kids, that they come out as assets to the country or they come out as liabilities. Right.
I know someone who his job is to do table tennis board for schools.
Right.
And that person is wealthy.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I'm not talking, he has some few schools. You understand? But because they use it constantly, it's always...
They change it constantly, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So anyway, we would wrap up here. Thanks for being with us. And we will come back with another interesting topic.
Subscribe. It's the most important thing. Subscribe, leave your comments.
Thanks for
That's
watching.
what keeps us going.
Thanks for watching, and share, tell someone
As much as possible.
Yeah.
All right, adios.
Peace out.
Amen.